Good morning. Am I audible to you? Please check. Can you hear me? Yes? Okay. So I have uploaded that 2016 paper over here. It has total of 26 questions. Okay, there are 26 questions. 1 hour, I'm giving you the time. So at 10:30, we will start the discussion. Please start. Solve all the 26 questions. Please start. Okay, let's check. Time is up. There were 26 questions in this paper. So one by one, let's take a look. Uh, Question number one, he tells you which of the following will best capture the relationship similar to inspect is to vivisect. Now, what happens is that when you vivisect means to vivisect is a detailed inspection. Okay, inspect is just to see something, whereas vivisect is when you do a detailed inspection. So, what is vivisect? Vivisect is a detailed inspection. Based on that, let's see. Observe means to do a detailed inquiry, not really. Explore means to do a detailed inquiry. Yes, this looks good. Number B looks good. Interrogate means to do a detailed investigation. Not necessarily. Investigation may not involve interrogation. Survey is a detailed query. No. Respond is a detailed question. No. So vivisection is a detailed inspection, and when we explore, we do a detailed inquiry. Answer should be number B. Explore means when you go into the small details, when you look at it very precisely, you look at things that you generally do not look at. So you do a very detailed inquiry into something. That is when we explore. Answer for question number one is number B. Interrogate is when you ask somebody to answer some questions, Nikita. Interrogate is when you ask someone to answer some questions. That is interrogation. Investigate is when you try to find out the truth. Now, it's not necessary that when you investigate, you have to question someone. That is not necessary. For example, if there has been a bomb blast, what will you do? You will investigate. You will go to the site. You will look for the forensic evidence. You are not necessarily questioning somebody. Okay. So answer for question number one is B. If you have any doubt, please stop me. Okay. Question number two. The poem says, "I sought a soul in the sea, but I did not find anything there. I found an ocean. So when I looked outward, I tried to find my soul in the sea, in the outward. I did not find anything there. All I found was the outward world. But when I looked into my heart's night, along a narrow way, I groped, and lo, the light, an infinite land of day." That means when I looked outside, all that I could find was only the ocean. I could not find my soul. But when I looked inside, when I looked inside, there I found an infinite land of day. So there found the truth, the reality. So which of the following will best capture the essence of this poem? Very, very simple. It has to be C. External search is futile. Explore the inner space for answers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Question number three. Assumptions are analogous to the basic ingredients in a gourmet recipe. Only the final product of the recipe dictates whether the ingredients suffice. So, what he's trying to say? What he's trying to say, we have inputs. From the inputs, we get some output. Okay. Now, the output, according to what he's trying to say, is the output determines whether the input is good or bad. Because he tells you assumptions are basic ingredients in a gourmet recipe. Only the final product will dictate whether the ingredients suffice. So the output will determine whether the input is good or not good. So which of the following is analogous to the statement above? What have you marked? Number E, yes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. That means the cooked food will determine whether the ingredients you have used or not is correct or not correct. Nikita, number D is contrary. As you sow, so shall you reap. That means your output, your output is dependent on your input. Input determines output. No, it's not the same. As you sow, that means whatever you input, the same thing you are going to get as output. But in the passage he told us that it is the output which decides whether the inputs were good or not good. So output is more important. Okay, the deciding factor is the output, whereas in number D the deciding factor is the input. That is the difference between D and E. Number C, all is well that ends well. That means the only thing that is important is the output. Inputs are immaterial in number C. So that is why that is also wrong. Okay, A and B have absolutely no relationship to this argument. So A and B can immediately. It's not talking about input output at all. Is this clear for all of you? Okay. Now coming to question number 4. First and last sentence of the paragraph are numbered. The others are labeled P, Q, R, and S as given below. So which of the following is the most logically order? What is the most logical order? What have you marked? Number A. I think it should be number A. Answer for this question should be number A. Suppose I know someone called Smith. Okay, I know someone called Smith. And now, what you know about this person? I have heard that he has been killed in a battle in this war. That is what I know about him, right? But one day you come to me and you say Smith is in Cambridge. Okay, so because you are telling me that he's alive, he's in Cambridge. What I will do? I inquire. And I find you stood at Guildhall and you saw at the other end a man and you said that was Smith. So when you come and say to me that you have seen Smith in Cambridge and I try to find out, then I come to realize that you saw a person. You do not look at that person closely. You saw that person and you said that was Smith. Okay. What would my response be? I would say, listen, this is not sufficient evidence because you have not seen that person up close, from up close. So it is not sufficient person. Yeah, it is not sufficient evidence. Okay. So if we had a fair amount of evidence he was killed, I would try to make you say that you are being credulous. That means even though I also don't have any evidence that he is killed, I know that he is killed, but if I had evidence that he was killed, I would say that you are being credulous. That means you are being credulous means you believe everything that you see. That is why answer for this question should be A. Did you understand? Okay. Question number 5. Again, first and last, they are fixed. This one was easy. Answer for this question is D. Answer for this question is D. The word symmetry is used here with special meaning and therefore it needs to be defined. So first he will define it. Okay. The question is, when is the thing symmetrical? How can we define it? Because first we need to define it, then the question is, how can we define it? Then he tells you, when we have a picture symmetrical, one side is somehow the same as the other side. Okay. Now after that, he gives you the definition of a particular processor. Professor Herman has given this definition of symmetry. And what is his definition? A thing is symmetrical if you can subject it to a certain operation and it appears exactly the same after operation. Then he gives an example of Professor Herman's definition. For instance, if you look at a vase that is left and right symmetrical, you turn it 180 degrees around the vertical axis, it looks the same. Okay, so it should be D. Answer for question number 5 should be D. Number E. Okay, number E, you want to mark number E. The word symmetry needs to be defined. Okay, you start from here and then you are saying Professor Herman Whale has given this definition of symmetry. Okay, so first you are telling me Professor Herman Whale's definition. You want to start by talking about Professor Herman Whale's definition. But question is, where are you going to place R? R cannot be the end. Because R raises the first question, how can you define it? And then he gives you different definitions. The one that he believes in and the one that the professor believes in. So number R cannot come in the end. Because that's a question and you are answering the question by giving your theories, your definitions on symmetry and also talking about other people's definition of symmetry. Is it clear? Question number 6. Number 6. In recent past, Indian football team has lost most of the matches in international football tournaments. The most successful coaches in Indian club football tournaments are from Latin American countries. In most of the Latin American countries, football is more popular sport than cricket. So from the passage above, choose the correct option. What have you selected? Can you definitely conclude that in India cricket is more popular than football? No. Can you definitely conclude that most Latin American countries are successful at football? No. Can you definitely conclude that in the recent past, coaches of Indian football teams are not from Latin America? No, can't. Can you definitely conclude that European football coaches are less successful than their Latin American counterparts? No, you know nothing about European football coaches. It cannot. Now, this is very important. Many people overlook this word. It cannot be definitely concluded that the more popular a sport, the better the chance of producing a successful coach in that sport. Yes, it cannot be definitely concluded. Number E is the answer. C is not right. C is not right. You can definitely conclude that in the recent past, coaches of Indian football teams are not from Latin America. How can you say that? He's telling you most successful coaches in Indian club football tournaments are from Latin American countries. And over here, you are saying they are not from Latin American countries. Okay? Yes. So you just missed that word cannot, and that is why you could not answer this question. Otherwise, this was a very, very easy question. Okay? Yes, Nikita? Excuse me. You were thinking of C. You were thinking of C, but over here you're saying the most successful coaches in Indian club football tournaments are from Latin America. Okay, please understand. Please understand that he's talking about the Indian club football tournaments. Or from the information that you have about Indian club football tournaments, you can say nothing about the Indian football team. Indian football team means that it's the national team. Okay? Absolutely. So question 1 to 6, everything is clear. Number 7. Question number 7. Choose the best pronunciation of the word sobriquet from the following options. It has to be A. Sobriquet. It is pronounced sobriquet. It's not pronounced sobraka. It's not pronounced sobriquet. It's not pronounced sobricat. It's not pronounced sobriquat. So it is sobriquet. Sobriquet is a uh, sobriquet is a nickname, like a nickname. Pink City. Pink City is a sobriquet for Jaipur. The land of the rising sun is a sobriquet for Japan. Okay. Okay. Question number 8. Consider the two related statements. Statement 1 is saying that offices and positions for the marginalized sections should be open to those with greater savings among them. And statement 2 says offices and positions must be open to everyone based on the principle of fair opportunity. Which of the following is true? Number 8, statement 1 assumes that the marginalized sections are incapable of saving. No, it does not. He never says that marginalized sections cannot save. He just says that offices and positions should be open to those people who save. That does not mean that they are not capable of saving. Number 1 is not right. Statement 2 assumes that all citizens are equally exposed to all opportunities. Yes, I think this is right. Because in statement 2, he's saying offices and positions must be open to everyone based on principle of fair opportunity. It must be open to everyone means everybody is exposed to all the opportunities and anybody can come and join this office and position. Okay. So these actually, Nikita, they're talking about two different things. Over here, he's saying office and positions must be open to everyone. So if he's saying offices and positions must be open to everyone, that means everybody has access to these offices and positions. Yes or no? Sorry? Two is a suggestion. No, you are assuming. If you are saying, that you should give everybody a fair opportunity. Okay, we must give everybody a fair opportunity. That means we are assuming that everybody has an option to avail of that opportunity. Yes or no? If I'm saying we must give everyone equal rights, that means we are assuming that everybody has access to equal rights. Everybody is in a situation to get access to that equal rights. So number B is right. Number B is right. When I'm saying that it must be open for everyone, that means I am assuming that everybody is exposed to these opportunities and anybody can come and anybody can, take up this position and office. Number B is right. Statement 2 contradicts meritocracy. Now, that is not always true. Now, offices and positions are open to everyone based on the principle of fair opportunity, but that does not mean that you cannot have a selection process, even though everybody can apply. Because there is fair opportunity, everybody is exposed to the opportunities, but you can have some selection process. The only thing is that you give access to everyone, but you can have a selection process. Okay, Nikita is saying in C, it's like child labor must be banned. In number B, it's like child labor must be banned. Doesn't mean children do not work as labor. No. If I'm saying child labor must be banned, then I'm assuming that I'm assuming the existence of child labor. If I'm asking for child labor to be banned, then I'm assuming the existence of child labor, isn't it? Yes or no? Only then I'm saying child labor must be banned. So same logic. If I'm saying that you need to open offices and positions for everyone, that means you are assuming that everybody has access to these offices and positions. So simple. Okay. It must be right to access. Probably he could have used a better word. He could have used a better word. Yeah, he could have used a better word. He could have framed it differently. But still, from among the options that we have, From among the options that we have, number B is the best one. Okay, no, that in that you will see they always write in a very convoluted way. They will always keep it very vague. So please understand, from the given options, you need to mark the one that you think is the best. Please don't look for perfect questions. No, in that they will never give you a perfect question. There will always be vagueness. You must have realized by now. We have solved so many papers. Okay. So question number 8. Question number 8 answer is number B. Did you understand now? Let's come to question number 9. Number 9. This season will pass. The Prime Minister may not win Lok Sabha elections, or she may. She may not continue as Prime Minister, or she may. The country will survive whatever the texture of politics in this decade or the next. So, the country's survival does not depend on the Prime Minister. That is what he's trying to say. So, which of the following is true will best reinforce the author's view? Prime Ministers have come and gone. You know, things happen every now and then, but the country goes on. So, I think how I can reinforce, how I can support the author's view is number D. I can say the previous season had also witnessed similar political uncertainty, but look, that season is also gone. Now we have a new prime minister. This prime minister will also go, and then again the next season will come. So don't worry, prime ministers come and go. It does not make a difference for the country. Number D is the answer for question number 9. Okay. Please explain E, the survival of the prime minister. See, please understand, prime minister is not important. That is what he's trying to say. The country will survive, whatever the texture of politics, whether it is Congress or BJP or left front, whatever the texture of politics, the country will survive. So what he's trying to say is that the prime minister is not important. Okay, that is what he's trying to say. The political parties are not important. The prime minister is not important. Now, in number E, if you say that the prime minister's survival depends on the political texture of the country, this is a conclusion. This may be a conclusion. This is not what is supporting the author's view. You have to strengthen the author's view. You have to prove that no matter who comes, the country will survive. No matter who comes, the country will survive. That is the question. You have to prove this. So I can say that previous season also had witnessed similar political uncertainty. Okay. The country has a vibrant young working population. Okay. Now please understand, number B is very narrow because you are assuming, if you mark number B, then you are assuming that the survival of your country will be assured because of a vibrant young working population. This may be one of the factors that come into play, but there can be hundreds of others. There can be hundreds of other factors. Okay, so you cannot with 100% certainty say that this is the only factor responsible for survival of the country. So D should be the answer for question number 9. Question number 10. Question number 10. The subject of this book is knavery, skullduggery, cheating, betrayal, unfairness, crime, sneakiness, malingering, cutting corner, immorality, dishonesty, betrayal, graft, wickedness, and sin. Now, which of the following options will best capture all of the words? All of the words, tell me. Number C, yes, all of the words. Deviant. These are deviant behaviors. These are behaviors that we consider bad or abnormal. They may not necessarily be illegal. When you cut corners, when you malinger means you delay. When you delay, when you are being dishonest, that is not necessarily illegal. They are not necessarily aggressive. I can betray you in a very calm way. They are not necessarily banned. Banned and vetoed mean the same. D and E mean the same. So yes, they are all deviant behaviors. They are behaviors that we would generally not accept. Absolutely. Number C is the answer. 11. Question number 11. Oinos. What is Oinos saying? Oinos is saying what I can understand about the laws of about the natural laws. What I can understand about the natural laws is that under certain conditions, there are certain conditions which give rise to to which has all the appearance of creation. So, what I understand by natural law is that there are certain conditions because of which creation will happen. Okay, then he tells you shortly before the final overthrow of the earth. That means shortly before the earth was completely destroyed, there were, I well remember, many very successful experiments in what some philosophers were weak enough to denominate the creation of animalcula. That means there were, before earth was destroyed, there were many people who tried to, understand or experiment about the creation of animals, but they failed. But I know that there is something called natural laws, and according to natural laws, there are certain conditions which give rise to appearance, which actually lead to creation. So Agathos says the cases of which you speak, they are instances of secondary creation, and the only species of creation which has ever been since the first word spoke into existence, the first law. So Agathos tells you that whatever creation you're talking about, that is secondary creation. That means first earth must have been created, only then life on earth must have been created. So Oinos is just talking about the life on earth. He's not talking about the creation of earth. So that is why Agathos says whatever existence you're talking about, whatever creation you're talking about, it is secondary creation. Okay, and the first laws that we've had, they have all been spoken. They were spoken laws. This is what he's trying to say. So which of the following cannot be definitely inferred? What can you not infer? Tell me. Number D. We cannot infer number D. We cannot infer that natural laws are creations of philosophers. This is something which we cannot infer. Everything else can be inferred. Law is a spoken word, yes. Over here he has written spoke. The creation of animalcula is a natural law, yes. Oinos tells you that I know what is a natural law. I know philosophers try to talk about the natural law, but they could not. Okay, he talks about creation of animalcula. Number B, at the time of the conversation, there was nothing called earth, yes, because he says final overthrow of the earth. That means before this destruction of the earth. And Agathos and Oinos, they are talking about something related to creation. Absolutely. They are. So D is the answer for question number 11. Number 12. Question number 12. He tells you there is a degree of convergence in the definition of trust, which can be summarized as follows. So he's trying to define trust. What is trust? Trust is the subjective probability with which one person assesses that another person or group will perform a particular action. When we say we trust someone or someone is trustworthy, we mean that the probability that he will perform an action that is beneficial to us. Which of the following statements will best complete the passage? Now, because you're talking about trust, yes, number B is right. So the probability of the other person performing an action that is beneficial to us is high. Is high for us to consider engaging in some form of cooperation with him. Absolutely. Absolutely. Number B is the answer. This one was very easy. Question number 12 was very easy. Okay. Anybody has any doubt till now? Anyone? Okay. Number 13. Question number 13 to 16 is based on the passage. He is trying to describe interpersonal communication. What is interpersonal communication, what it is and what it is not. and he's trying to make you understand or describe interpersonal communication through game analogies. So he says you can look at communication as a bowling. Now, bowling, just like when a bowler he bowls, so it is a one-way communication. When you look at communication as bowling, it is a one-way model of communication. The bowler, he is the sender of the message. He delivers the ball, which is the message. And as the ball rolls down the channel, uh, it can get deflected. But if it is aimed well, then it will strike the passive pins. Now, who are the passive pins? The passive pins are the target audience. So if you aim it well, then you can get to your target audience. Okay. Thus, the bowler must take care to select a precisely crafted message, and he should practice diligently to deliver it the same way every time. Every time his message has to be the same, because this makes sense only if the target listeners are interchangeable. For example, what communication as bowling, an example will be something like an advertisement. Okay, advertisement is one way. It is one way model of communication. Now, advertisements have to be understood by every single person. Person A, person B, person C, person D. So the target listeners are interchangeable. No matter which person is bought there, everybody has to understand it similarly. All of them will have to understand the same message. If there is difference in their understanding, then your communication is failed. So communication is bowling. This one-way model of communication will only make sense when your target listeners are interchangeable. Otherwise, it does not make any sense. Did you understand? And because this form of communication is static, it is static. That is why some people have proposed an interactive model of interpersonal communication. Now, there are two models of interpersonal communication. Number one is communication as ping pong. Now, what happens is that unlike bowling, ping pong is not a solo game. Okay, one party will put the conversational ball in play, the other one will get into position to receive. Now, it takes more concentration and skill to receive than to serve, because while the speaker knows where the message is going, the listener does not. Okay, so the ball may appear straightforward, yet it can have a deceptive spin. So it is the receiver who has to be more, who has to give more concentration. He has to understand, because the speaker knows what his message is going to be. So ping pong is more like a back and forth game. Players will switch roles continuously. One moment the person holding the paddle is an initiator, the next second the same player can become a responder. So when A communicates with B, so initially A is the sender and B is the receiver. Now when B responds, now B is the sender and A is the receiver. So it is a game that is played back and forth. Okay, so there are repeated adjustments. Repeated adjustments are essential for good play. And that is why this form of communication closely parallels the feedback process, which is described in a number of interpersonal communication theories. The third way in which you can look at communication is that you look at communication as dumb charades. You know the game of charades. The game of charades, just like we have a game of charades, so similarly communication also is like dumb charades. Now what happens in a charade? A charade is neither an action like bowling a strike, nor an interaction like a rally in ping pong. It is a transaction. So it is not an action, it is not an interaction. Action is one-sided, interaction is two people. Two people are involved, simultaneous exchange of communication is happening. It is a transaction. A transaction means through your interaction, you exchange something. So dumb you should look at communication as dumb charades. Now he explains to you what happens in a charade. Charade is a mutual game. Okay, One member will draw a title or a slogan from a batch of possibilities and he will try to act it out visually for his teammates in a silent mini drama. The goal is to get at least one partner to say the exact words that are on the slip of paper. Of course, the actor cannot talk out loud. We all have played Dumb Charades, so we all know how it works. So what happens? Suppose, suppose the title is God helps those who help themselves. So for God, what you might do? You might try holding your hands and gazing upward. For helps, you could act out offering a helping hand. By pointing at a number of real or imaginary people, you may elicit a response of them. And by this point, a partner may shout out, God helps those who help themselves. Success. That means you are acting out and other people are trying to understand what you're trying to convey. And when that person understands, communication is successful. So just like charades, interpersonal communication is a mutual ongoing process of sending, receiving, and adapting. This is important. And adapting verbal and non-verbal message with another person to create and alter images in both of our minds. So communication begins when there is an overlap between the two images that we have. If there is no overlap, if I'm saying tree and you do not see this picture of tree, then because we are both not seeing the same picture, we will say that the communication has failed. So communication is only when there is overlap between two images. Okay. Similarly, he says, but even if our mental pictures are congruent, even if we both see the same tree, communication will be partial as long as we interpret them differently. So if A and B, they both have the same picture of tree, but A is looking at tree as a life giver and B is looking at tree as a source of wood. So A is trying to communicate that we should conserve tree, and B, the message that he's getting is that we can get wood from the tree, so we need to cut the tree. Both of them have the same image, but they are interpreting it differently. Okay. However, because we continuously adapt, we continuously there's action and interaction and adaptation. Because there's adaptation, continuous adaptation. That is why Damsharas, it goes beyond the simplistic analogy of bowling and ping pong. Damsharas, it views interpersonal communication as a complex transaction in which open overlapping messages simultaneously affect and are affected by other person and multiple other factors. So there is continuous adaptation. That is why he's calling it both an action, a transaction, and an action, interaction, and transaction. All these happen. Is this clear? Did you understand? Based on this, he's asking you question number 13. The meaning closest to interchangeable in the communication as bowling paragraph is comparable, yes. They have to be the same. All of them have to be the same. So communication as bowling is suitable only when your audience is the same. Everybody is the same. किसी को भी खड़ा कर दो, they will all understand the same thing. Compatible means that they go along, get along. Compatible means that they get along. It is not so much as getting along. They have to be the same. Getting along and being the same, they are two different things. Is it clear? Should I move to 14? 14. Which of the following options is the closest to the necessary condition of communication? According to him, for communication, there has to be an overlap of shared images. Absolutely. So I think number 4 for 14 A is the best answer. A is the best answer. Number 15. Number 15. The two inherent limitations of ping pong as a metaphor for communication are, what do you think? What can be the two limitations of ping pong? I think, see, the two limitations are number one, that the number of players is limited, there are only two, and the rules of the games are fixed by the regulators. So, अगर ये दोनों limitation, e- even if right, according to the passage, the rules of the game are not fixed by the regulators, but as a metaphor for communication, these are the two inherent limitations that we can find in the ping pong. Even if they are not mentioned in the passage, these can be the limitations. One is that because it's ping pong, there are only two players, it's limited. And number two, the rules are fixed. The rules are fixed. In a ping pong, rules are fixed. So similarly, in this communication, the rules are fixed. None of the options, no option is mentioned in the passage. We have to understand. So 15, I think answer should be C. Did you get this? Number 16. Action, interaction, and transaction is closest to action, interaction, and transaction. Number B, nahi, number A. Answer is number A. Number B is not right. When you prepare an election manifesto, action. You are addressing a public gathering. You are addressing a public gathering. This is also action. Okay? It is not a two-way communication. You are engaging in door-to-door canvassing. Again, this is interaction, action. Please understand, in an interaction, there has to be, that is what I'm trying to tell you. In an interaction, there has to be two-way communication. In an interaction, there has to be two-way communication, isn't it? So when you address a public gathering, where is the two-way communication? One person is speaking, everybody else is listening. When you engage in door-to-door canvassing, again, you are going door-to-door and you are speaking to people. People are not speaking to you. So where is the interaction? Number B is not right. Number D भी देख लेते हैं. You apply for a learner's license, action. You are negotiating with the driving school, interaction. So this is action, this is interaction. But when you are driving a car, that is not a transaction. Because in a transaction, there has to be continuous adaptation. You have to adapt according to the sender and receiver, according to the messages that they receive, they will keep adapting. So when you drive a car, you are taking an action. This is not a transaction. So number D also is not right. When you advertise, why is A right? When you advertise, there is an action. When you negotiate with a buyer, negotiating with a seller is interaction. When you bid for a player in the Indian Premium League, this is transaction. Because when you are bidding, you keep adjusting and you keep adapting your price. Because initially, let us say you started with 10,000 rupees, then you need to make adjustments. This player is not available for 10,000, you will offer 11,000. So you need to keep adjusting it. Okay? That is why the best answer is number A. Is this clear? Please check. If it is not clear, then we'll. But I think I have tried to explain this to you. Okay? Is it clear now for all of you? Action is one way, something that you are doing, right? Interaction is when two people are involved. And transaction is when you continuously make adjustments according to your communication. That is transaction. That is only and only happening in number A. Okay. Question number 17 to 19. Question number 17 to 19 are based on this passage. Now, in this passage, what is he trying to tell you? He tries to tell you that we thought that if we have markets that are unfettered, Unfettered means free. When you look at the economic theories, the theories they they said that if we have free markets, there's going to be efficiency. But we have seen that free markets do not lead to economic efficiency. We have seen that. When do they not lead to economic efficiency? Whenever information is imperfect and wherever markets are missing. So when these two conditions are met, free markets do not lead to economic efficiency. And please understand, information is always imperfect and markets are always incomplete. That means we can never see economic efficiency in free markets. Nor do markets by themselves necessarily lead to economic efficiency. When the task of a country is to absorb new technology, that means he's trying to say when a country is trying to absorb new technology, that time also you cannot expect efficiency. No. Okay. So the question is today most of the economists they agree that markets by themselves will not lead to efficiency. But the question is whether governments can improve matters. So now he tells you the difficulty for economics is that you have to perform experiments to test your theories, just like a chemist or a physicist. So even though it's difficult to perform real experiments, the world provides us with lots of natural experiments because lots of countries try out different strategies. So from the strategies adopted by different countries, we can probably make some theories. Problem is that because each country differs in its history and circumstances, and in the myriad of details in the policies, it is very difficult to get a very clear interpretation. So that is why it is difficult to test your theory because every single country is different. It has different history, different circumstances. However, even though it's difficult, what is clear is that there have been marked differences in performance, that the most successful countries have been those in Asia, and in most of the Asian countries, government has played a very active role. So even though testing theories have been difficult, even though getting a clear interpretation has been difficult, what is absolutely clear is that there is a lot of difference in performance of countries. Most successful countries are in Asia, and in most of the Asian countries, governments have played a very active role. This is something that we know. Based on this understanding, he then tells you, as you look more carefully at the effects of particular policies, these conclusions are reinforced. There is a remarkable congruence between what economic theory says governments should do and what the governments are actually doing in Asia. So, by the same token, economic theories that are based on imperfect information and incomplete risk markets, which predicted the free flow of short term capital, which predicted that free flow of short term capital will produce not growth but instability, they have also been borne out. So when you look at uh, when you want to frame policies, then please understand that what, according to theory, the government should do and what the governments are actually doing in the Asian countries, there's a lot of congruence, lots of things match, and plus economic theories had predicted when we have imperfect information and when there is incomplete risk market, then short-term capital will not produce growth, but it will produce instability, and that is something which we see is for real. So this is what he's trying to say. Based on this, question number 17, whether government can improve matters. Here, matters indicate what? Obviously, economic efficiency. This passage was about economic efficiency. Yes, the matters that he's talking about is economic efficiency. Okay. Number 18, which of the following options cannot be inferred from the passage? What can you not infer? Let's see. Free flow of short-term capital might fail to ensure economic growth. Yes, this can be inferred. Insurance market is a proof that markets by themselves do not lead to efficiency. Yes, he has given this example. This can be inferred. It is difficult to interpret the success of economic policies of Asian countries. Yes, because they are diverse. This is inferred. Technology can impede market efficiency. Yes, this was mentioned in the first paragraph. We cannot infer that state intervention and imperfect information can never go hand in hand. They may or they may not. We cannot make any inference about this. Okay. Number 19. Which of the following statements best captures the essence of the two paragraphs in the above passage? What is the essence? I think number C. Paragraph 1 explains to you why markets fail, and paragraph 2 spells out why market based economic theories fail to explain the success of Asian economics. Absolutely. Why the theories fail? Because they have different circumstances, they have different histories. That is why. Number C should be the answer for question number 19. Anybody has any doubt till now? But Asian was just an example. Yes, yes, Anshita. So, so he's giving you an example in second paragraph. He's giving you an example. That is what he's saying. In paragraph 2, he spells out why market-based economic theories fail to explain success of Asian economics. Paragraph 1 raises question and paragraph 2 answers it. Okay. How? How? Paragraph 1 raises the question. What is the question? Tell me. What is the question that paragraph 1 raises? Government involvement. Okay. And what does paragraph 2 do? How does it answer? How does it answer? Tell me. It is giving an example. Okay. It is giving an example. Hmm. It is justifying it. I don't know. I mean, not really. Not really. The question whether government's involvement is going to improve matters. This is the question that he has given in context to market failure. Markets fail. Can government do anything? Okay. So the question, his main argument is not about whether government can do anything or not. The main argument is why do the markets fail? So what you're saying in number D is not absolutely wrong, but that is not the main point. That is not the main point. In order to explain to you why the markets fail, he's talking about government involvement. Okay. What made him talk about government involvement? He wanted to know why markets failed. That is why number C is the best answer. Okay. Okay. Now let's come to question 20 to 23 based on this passage. Now, according to Ayn Rand, all of you must have heard about Ayn Rand, the very famous author who has written the novel Fountainhead. Okay, her theory is called objectivism. Ayn Rand's theory is called objectivism. And what is objectivism? According to objectivism, existence exists. And the act of grasping that statement implies two corollary axioms. So according to Ayn Rand, existence exists, and this means that there are two things which will automatically follow. Number one, that something exists which one perceives. That means something exists. Okay. And number two, this thing exists. We can perceive it. How? Through a consciousness. So consciousness helps us to perceive. Consciousness helps us to perceive something that exists. Something exists, and that one exists processing consciousness. Consciousness is the faculty of perceiving that which exists. Okay. So basically, something exists, and how do we come to know that something exists? It is because we have consciousness. Consciousness is a tool that helps in our perception of existence. Okay. So existence and consciousness are the facts which are implicit in every perception. So what is the first one? Existence. Okay, this is existence. Something will have existence and we have consciousness through which we can perceive the existence. They are the base of all the knowledge. They are the precondition of proof. Without an existence and without consciousness, you cannot have knowledge. Knowledge presupposes something to know and someone to know it. Yes or no? Because if there is knowledge here, but there is no one to know it, then how will you come to know about the knowledge? So they are the absolutes which cannot be questioned or escaped. Every human utterance, including the denial of these axioms, implies their use and acceptance. Even if you say something does not exist, you have to have consciousness to perceive that it does not exist. अगर आप perceive ही नहीं कर सकते, how will you say it does not exist? So for knowledge, these are two things that are absolute: existence and consciousness, so that you can perceive it. Now, did you understand this? Did you understand this? Now he's telling you there is a third axiom at the base of knowledge. Okay, that is the law of identity. The third axiom is law of identity. According to Aristotle, in Aristotle's words, this is called being qua being. Being qua being means to be is to be something. To be is to be something means, इसका मतलब philosophically होता है that to exist means to exist. Okay, you are existing, that means there is existence. That is being qua being. This is law of identity. Okay, what is law of identity? According to law of identity, a thing is what it is. A thing is what it is. That means a thing is what it is and what its nature is. A dog is a dog because it has the nature of a dog. A cat is a cat because it has the nature of a cat. And this leads us to the fundamental principle of all action, which is the law of causality. So what does the law of causality state? The law of causality states that a thing's actions are determined not by chance, but by its nature. Nature मतलब वो क्या है? So a tiger is a carnivore. It's not determined by chance. It is not determined by chance. It is determined by its nature. Because that is what it is. It's a carnivore. Now it is important to observe the interrelation of these three axioms. What are the three axioms? Existence. Okay, this was the first one. Existence, consciousness. You have consciousness so that you can perceive existence. Existence is the first axiom. The universe exists independent of consciousness. So existence, whether you have conscious or not, whether you have consciousness or not, existence will be there. Whether you can perceive or not perceive, God is there. For example, some people say, especially to an atheist, that I cannot perceive God. Just because you cannot perceive God does not mean that God does not exist. So existence is independent of consciousness. But yes, if you want to understand the existence, you have to be conscious. Man is able to adapt his background to his own requirements, but nature, to be commanded, must be obeyed. So you can adapt you can make adjustments. You can make adjustments according to your requirement. But if you want to change your nature, you must obey your nature. This is what Francis Bacon also said. Okay, so there is no mental process that can change the laws of nature or erase facts. The function of consciousness is not to create reality, but to apprehend it. Now, this last line is important. Existence is identity. Consciousness is identification. So what is existence? Existence is somebody's or something's identity. And when you perceive this identity, that is consciousness. It is identification. It is identification. So consciousness is identification, existence is identity. It is through identification that you perceive the identity. It is through the identification that you come to know about an identity. So these are two things which he talks about. The third, the third axiom, the law of identity. What does he tell you? He talks about existence. Okay, when something exists, it exists according to its nature, not because of chance. So these are the three laws that he's talking about. Did you understand? Based on this understanding, question number 20, which of the following is definitely correct according to this passage? What is definitely correct? Number D, consciousness makes perception of being possible. If we had no consciousness, we would not perceive things. Number D is the answer for question 20. Okay? Have you solved this passage? I think no. Okay. So consciousness makes perception of being possible. 21. Which of the following is the essence of law of causality? Yes, number A. So simple. To be is to be something. Being qua being. Absolutely number A. Nikita, this was for question number 21. Yes, it is A. This is written right there. No doubt about it. Okay. Uh, what is the essence of the law of causality? This is the law of causality. This is the law of causality, but what is the essence? What does it mean? No, I'll change the answer. Wait. Yes, number A is not right. Number A is not right. This is the law of causality, but what is the essence? The essence of law of causality is E, that the actions of a being are determined by its nature. Absolutely. Being qua being means you exist because you exist. Your actions are determined by your nature, not by chance. Number E should be the answer for question number 21. Number A is just stating the law. But what is the implication of that law? What is the essence of that law? The essence is that your actions are determined by your nature and not by chance. For question 21, answer is E. 22. Which of the following can be best captured as identity and identification? When you look at a cultural event, understand, when you look at a cultural event, do you get the image of college? No, cultural events may not necessarily give you the image of a college. So this identification does not lead to identity. When you perceive Twitter, then you realize that there is something called Twitter. Yes, yes, number B is right. When you look at taxes, when you look at taxes of citizens, so taxes, is it through taxes that you understand that there is that something called government exists? What do you think? Is taxes, do through taxes do you realize that there is something called government? Because taxes may not necessarily be imposed by the government. Taxes can be imposed by church also. So no, I don't think so. If somebody has children is will give you the hint that somebody is married. Not necessarily. Campus placement. If there is campus placement, so you will understand. You will perceive that a person has completed MBA. No, but when you see Twitter, you will come to know that Twitter exists. Number B should be the answer. Number B. Question number 22. Answer should be B. Okay. Your identification, identification. You have an identity. So Twitter is the identity. Twitter exists. And how do you identify Twitter? By perceiving Twitter. You cannot identify a college by perceiving cultural events. You cannot identify government by perceiving taxation. You cannot identify marriage by perceiving children. Similarly, you cannot identify MBA by perceiving campus placements. But you identify Twitter by perceiving Twitter. I think number B is the answer. Number 23. Question number 23. The author would interpret Francis Bacon's nature to be commanded must be obeyed as, very simple, number E. Before channeling nature, one must first comply with it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Answer for this question should be E. Okay. If this is clear, let's move to the last three questions of this paper. Now, this passage, what he tells you. Okay. Remember that everything that we know about the whole of nature or a part of nature is always an approximation to the complete truth, or the complete truth as far as we know it. So we cannot say with 100% certainty that something is a complete truth. Everything we know is only some kind of approximation, because we know that we do not know all the laws as yet. Therefore, things must be learned only to be unlearned again, or more likely to be corrected. So you cannot with 100% say that this is a complete truth. It can merely be an approximation. So the principle of science, the definition almost as follows. What is the definition of science? Science says the test of all knowledge is experiment. Experiment is the sole judge of scientific truth. But what is the source of knowledge? If you want to test knowledge, according to science, if you want to test whether your knowledge is true or not true, experiment karo. But the question is, what is the source of knowledge? From where does knowledge come from? Where do the laws that are to be tested come from? Do they come from experiment? Yes. Sometimes the experiment helps us to produce these laws, because it gives us hints. Experiments give us hints. But you also need imagination. You also need imagination to create generalizations. You also need imaginations to guess at the wonderful, simple, but very strange patterns beneath all the experiments. And then you have to experiment again to check whether you have made the right guess. So this imagining process is so difficult that there is a division of labor in physics. In physics, there are two kinds of physicists. There are two kinds of physicists. One are theoretical physicists who imagine. First they imagine, then they deduce, and then they guess new laws, but they do not experiment. And then we have experimental physicists who will first experiment, then they will imagine, then they will deduce, and then they will guess. Okay, so there are lots of things that we know of. Some things we have come to know them through experiment. Some things somebody first must have thought about them. Somebody must have first thought about it, and only then we have experimented on it, and we have tried to find out whether it is true or not true. Okay, so he says, we said that the laws of nature are approximate. We first find the wrong ones, and then we try to find the right ones. How now? Question is, how can an experiment be wrong? Experiment can be wrong because one, your apparatus can be faulty. Okay, your apparatus can be faulty. That is how experiment can be wrong. But this is a very minor problem. It can easily be fixed. So let us not discuss about these minor things. Okay. So if we not discuss about these minor things, then the question is, how can the results of an experiment be wrong? Then he says it can be wrong because we can be inaccurate. So what is the meaning of this? How can we be inaccurate? For example, when you look at the mass of an object, it never seems to change. A spinning top has the same weight as a still one. So a law was invented that mass is constant, independent of speed. But now we find that this law is incorrect. We find that mass increases with velocity, but the increase will require velocities near that of light. So a true law would be if an object moves with the speed of less than 100 miles a second, then the mass is constant to within one part in a million. Okay? In some such approximate form, this is the correct law. So this is the correct law. This should have been the true law. So in practice, you might think that the new law makes no significant difference. Why it makes no significant difference? Because for the mass to be different, you need speeds of very, very, very high velocity. So if you think that the new laws make no significant difference, then the answer is well, yes and no, both. Because if you're just talking about ordinary speeds, then you can take simple constant mass law as a good approximation. But the moment you talk about high speeds, you're wrong. And higher the speed, the more wrong you are. Okay. Finally, he tells you the most interesting, philosophically, we are all completely wrong with the approximate law. So philosophically, we are all wrong. Our entire picture of the world has to be altered, even though the mass changes only by a little bit. So philosophically, everybody is wrong. So this is a very peculiar thing about philosophy. Even a very small effect sometimes requires profound changes to our ideas. So philosophically, we are always completely wrong. We are always completely wrong because every time we need to make changes. Okay, according to philosophy, something is absolutely right only when you don't have to make changes. So because we can never have we can never have a law which is always true. We can always have laws that are approximates. That is why philosophically we are always wrong. This is what he's trying to say. Based on this, he asks you question number 24. Which of the following options is definitely not an approximation to the complete truth? What is not an approximation? No, number B to hoga. I know that I do not know. So you know that there are certain things which you don't know. ये तो ठीक है. This is part of your knowledge. But number D, I know what I do not know. How can you know those things which you do not know? How can you know things which you do not know? Answer is D. Number B is an approximation to the complete truth. Okay, if I say I know that I do not know, so if I say I do not know the age of this universe. Okay, I believe it to be 4.6 billion years. 4.6 billion years old. I do not know, but I do not know. So I can make an approximation. But if there is something you do not know, then how can you know it? That is why D is the answer for question number 24. Okay. Okay. 25. Consider the two statements from the passage. Statement 1, the mass of an object never seems to change. And statement 2, mass is found to increase with velocity. Which of the following cannot be concluded? What you cannot conclude? Statements 1 and 2 are approximates to the complete truth. This can be concluded because he tells you everything is just an approximation. Okay, statements 1 and 2 are complete truths so far as we know. So far as we know means in our approximation, this is true. Okay, it cannot be concluded. Okay, it cannot be concluded that statement 1 is an approximate to the complete truth. Statement 2 is a complete truth. Yes, we cannot conclude it. This is right. Okay. Statement 1 reveals that experimental physicists who imagine, deduce, and guess are philosophically wrong. Yes, we can conclude this. Statement 2 shows that theoretical physicists. Statement 2 shows that theoretical physicists can pinpoint the shortcomings of experimental physicists. So, can theoretical physicists tell us the shortcomings of experimental physicists? No. Number E is the answer. We cannot conclude. We cannot conclude. Number E, we cannot conclude. All the others, we can make a conclusion. All the others, we can make a conclusion whether they are right or not right. Okay? It is only number E where we cannot say anything. We have no information whether theoretical physicists, they can pinpoint the shortcomings of experimental physicists or not. We just know that theoretical physicists, they first imagine and then they experiment, whereas experimental physicists, they first experiment and then imagine. That is the only difference. So I think we cannot make any conclusion about these. All the others, we can make a conclusion. We can say whether they are true or false. Okay. 26. Number 26. Big Bang is a popular theory related to the origin of the universe. It states that the universe was the outcome of a Big Bang that released enormous energy. Which of the following is the most probable inference about the Big Bang theory? I think B, yes. Big Bang theory was first proposed by theoretical physicists. Because a thing like Big Bang, you cannot experiment. So somebody must have first imagined it. Somebody must have imagined it, and then probably on a small scale, you will try to experiment on it, and then you will try to understand what is the truth. If you had not imagined, then how would you know about the Big Bang theory? So in all probability, the Big Bang theory was proposed by theoretical physicists. Absolutely. Answer should be B for question number 26. Please take a look. Anything that requires clarification, anything you did not understand, please ask. If you get a score of around 9 score, if you have got, then I think that you have made the cutoff. So there is no need for you to answer every single question. You need to be very judicious. Okay? Okay. So that's it from my side for today. In the evening, we have 10 or 10, 11 were correct. Okay, 10, 11 were correct, but incorrect bhi to hoga na? So there's going to be a penalty for that also. So you need to pay attention that incorrect zyada na ho. It's better to leave it. Okay? Okay.
Music.